Hello friends! You've seen quite a lot of night sky photography from Raymond and I over the years. You've seen some nighttime street photography from me, but you haven't seen the night photography that I'll be showing you today. A few weeks ago, Raymond and I headed up a mountain in Phoenix, Arizona to capture some nighttime city lights photos and the sunset leading up to it. In this video, I will share photos that we captured when we were out there, but I also will talk through why we chose the gear that we chose and things for you to think about when choosing gear for nighttime photography. Plus, just as importantly, why I chose that location and that night in particular for this project. Stick around. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Lexar. Lexar offers a range of memory solutions, including memory cards. It wouldn't matter what gear we had brought with us, it wouldn't matter when or where, we wouldn't have been able to capture these images without memory cards. They're a necessity. We've been using Lexar memory cards for a very long time because we know we can rely on them. Here are a couple that I found from our archive from many years ago, but in our cameras for this project, we each had new Lexar memory cards. We were using SD cards from the Gold line and CF Express Type B cards from Lexar's Silver line. Of course, Lexar offers a range of capacities of cards, but they also offer a range in the speed of each type of card. If you need the fastest out there for high-end video specs or the fastest of burst still shooting, Lexar has you covered. But for the rest of us who aren't looking to use the absolute maximum potential of the camera, we can opt for the mid-tier speeds and save a little bit of money, like with the Silver line of cards. That being said, I've been using the CF Express Type B cards from the Silver line in my Nikon Z9, and they've been amazing, even for capturing 8K video. So thank you to Lexar for sponsoring this project. I have added links to the cards that we've been using, as well as the card reader that we've been using, in the description of this video. All right, let's discuss the gear we brought. I chose the Nikon Z9 and two lenses, the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8 and the 70 to 200 f2.8. Raymond chose the Lumix S5 and the Sigma 20 millimeter f2 DGDN contemporary lens and the Lumix 70 to 200 millimeter f4 lens. I also brought the Nikon Z30 and its 16 to 30 millimeter kit lens and the Insta360 ONE RS 1-inch edition to capture B-roll. We also brought tripods, the Peak Design carbon fiber travel tripod and a Manfrotto Be-Free carbon fiber tripod. Do you need to use high-end tripods for a project like this? No, but we do have them, and we grabbed them because the design that went into them means that they're easy to use, they're easy to transport, and they do hold up under a variety of conditions. One of those being the heavy Z9 and 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8 lens setup. Okay, now let's discuss why we chose the cameras and the lenses that we did. Any kind of photography at night can be challenging. It is definitely where your camera can show weakness because there's little or no light. Remember, with exposure, you have three ways of controlling the light coming in: your ISO sensitivity, your aperture, and your shutter speed. I'll share the settings for each photo on the screen, but let's dig into it. Increasing your ISO sensitivity too much can give you an objectionable amount of noise. This will completely depend upon your camera and on your preferences. Raymond and I were using some of the latest and greatest camera bodies where you can take the ISO sensitivity pretty high before you even really notice grain in the image. That being said, I actually think that I would like to go back out to this location sometime soon with some of our older cameras to do a similar project. I think it would be a good exercise to share with you all. The idea of working within whatever gear you have, rather than getting discouraged because you don't have the newest body or the newest lens. If that's something that you would like to see, let me know down in the comments. Moving on, we chose our lenses because of the focal length. We each wanted a range of focal lengths and the flexibility to use a wide aperture. We didn't necessarily shoot wide open though. When it got dark, we both used our 70-200 lenses. Raymond's Lumix 70-200 is an f4 lens, but he shot it up to f8. And I used the Nikon 70-200 f2.8 lens, but to be able to achieve the slow shutter speed that I'll discuss in a moment, sometimes I was shooting as narrow as f14. So while it's nice to have the flexibility of a wide aperture, you don't necessarily need it for the type of photography that we were doing. Last, shutter speed. If you are capturing handheld photos, you need to keep your shutter speed fast enough to prevent motion blur just from your own movement. Or if you're capturing a moving object or a person, you need a shutter speed fast enough to prevent motion blur from them moving. That is, of course, unless you're making an artistic choice to include blur. But for this type of photography, capturing city lights, we wanted slow shutter speeds in order to have motion blur from the cars in the city. The city itself isn't moving, so those lights are fixed, but there was plenty of traffic moving around. So with our cameras on tripods, we were able to slow the shutter speeds way down until we captured the look that we each wanted in our own photos. What about the location? We were at a popular sunset overlook in Phoenix, Dobbins Lookout on South Mountain. There are always a lot of people there, but there's also a lot of room to spread out. You just have to watch out for cactus. It's a great spot to see a huge amount of the Phoenix area, including downtown. If you're ever in town, make sure to check for restrictions getting there. Sometimes the road is closed so that cyclists and runners can use it. And the gate closes at 7 p.m. So you have to start your drive up there before then. All of the restrictions, though, are listed on the city's website, so just Google Dobbins Lookout, Phoenix, and you'll find all of the information that you need. Getting there a bit before sunset allowed us to set up in the daylight, which is helpful because of the cactus that I mentioned a moment ago. You are quite literally on the side of a mountain, so the terrain is a little bit rough when you go away from the main lookout. The last thing I wanted to discuss is why I chose this particular day to go. I knew I wanted to do this project for weeks prior to going, but I wanted to wait for a day where I had a chance of a good sunset. We have a ton of beautiful blue sky days in Phoenix, but those blue skies don't always make for an exciting sunset for photography. Plus, in the time just after sunset, but before the sky was totally black, I knew having a few clouds in the sky would give us flexibility in how we composed our images. And that's it for today. Did this video inspire you to get out there and maybe capture some nighttime city photography? Raymond and I did this project on a weeknight. I saw that the clouds had formed in the afternoon. We ordered the kids pizza for dinner. I packed up, and then we took off for the evening. It was a fulfilling photography outing that didn't actually take a lot of time. So I hope that you try it out, even if it isn't in your normal photography wheelhouse. I'm not a huge fan of capturing daytime street photography. I like seeing other people's work, but it's just not my favorite experience. But nighttime is a different story. I actually really like it, both down on the streets and from up above, like we were for this project. I would like to make more time to do it. I'd love to go back to Seattle or Chicago and experiment with it. I also promised my kids a trip to New York City sometime soon. But I'm thinking aloud now. If you have a favorite place for street photography, day or night, let me know down in those comments. Thank you again to Lexar for sponsoring this video. Remember, there are links to some Lexar memory cards and card readers in the description. And thank you for watching.